some of the biggest flag-waving, Pledge of Allegiance, I Love America people, and yet want to shut your mouth when you talk about the protection of human and civil rights and advancement of equal protection under the law. I find all that strange, but I mean, you know, apparently they have a different view of the world than I do.
Well, that's just hypocrisy. You know, the Pledge of Allegiance and the flag, and I love America. True enough.
So I love America as long as it works for me.
Exactly.
And if it doesn't work for you, then I don't care.
That's the way it is.
I can't get off this thing though. Did you get any support for the proposed ordinance that you had written? And I had an opportunity to read it, and I argued for it myself. What support did you get from the African American leadership on the city council and the quorum court? Because it didn't appear that they were themselves excited about it. As a matter of fact, one justice, Lorenzo Parker, wrote, and this was in his condemnation of me, that he thought, he compared it to the Gestapo. And of course we know the Gestapo was the secret police for Adolf Hitler, and that job was to murder and intimidate people in following the Nazi party line. I mean, how does that make you feel when you hear things like that that are just so clearly? I mean, to say that that's wrong would be an understatement. It's just ridiculous. And this is an African American who is a member of the Quorum Court, and in fact is head of Parks and Recreation. And you had several others that wouldn't step up to the plate or that made negative comments. Justice Cox, who at one point said that he thought the Human and Civil Rights Commission ordinance was a mandate from God, and yet still refused to support it. I mean, how does it make you feel, and what do you have to say about that? And they weren't the only ones. Some of the others didn't say a word, but
well, like you stated. Now I talked to Lorenzo Parker about the ordinance, and he said he didn't have a problem with it. I've been talking to Malone, Sam Malone, for years. He was on the Quorum Court. And the police officer
on the school board too.
He was telling me he couldn't wait till I brought it up.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden they flipped the script on me. We got to the meeting, and all of them that I had spoken with, they had no problem with it until we got to the meeting, and then the attack was on. So, well,
do you get the impression that they're afraid, or that they have made other maybe political or financial arrangements, and so therefore they cannot support these things because the people that either that pay them or that they work for or that they depend upon don't want it, so therefore they can't afford to be? I mean, I get that impression. I have to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I don't. And of course, as you well know, that we posted on NAACP Facebook a financial disclosure statement from Mr. Hudson Hallam, our current state representative, and some of the names that I just mentioned: Sam Malone, Eric Cox, Mr. Carter, and many of these guys received a lot of money. And I would suggest, by the way, that if any of our listening audience want to go on Facebook to find out what we're doing, you can go to Our View, WMNAACP. That's Our View, WMNAACP, and become a friend. And you can hear many of the things that we're talking about. You can see what we're standing for and what we're standing against. And we're not out to get anybody, but if we feel that you're operating in a way that's in contradiction to what's in the best interest of the people of Crittenden County, we're going to put you out there. So we did go to the I believe was it the Attorney General, not the Attorney General, in Little Rock.
Oh, the Secretary of State.
Secretary of State's office. I'm sorry, the Secretary of State's office. We went to that website, pulled down Mr. Hudson Hallam's financial disclosure statement, and we found that Mr. Cox had received over $4,000 from Mr. Hallam, that Mr. Malone, police officer in Quorum Court and school board member Mr. Malone, had received over $11,000, and that Lorenzo had received some, but his was far less, and that Mr. Philip Carter had received almost $15,000. So it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. And even though I will say this in defense of Mr. Carter, now Mr. Carter did say that he would support it, he just would not sponsor it. and you know, on the city council, it takes two to sponsor, and I believe the only person that would agree to sponsor it on the West Memphis City Council, we have 6 African Americans out of a total of 10. Only Mr. Monday said that he would sponsor it. No one else would. Not even Marco, not Reverend Coleman. Couldn't get Miss Robinson to even call us back, and not even Mr. Pulliam. So we couldn't get in on the quorum court. I think Tyrone McWright is the only person that stepped up and said, I will support it. He said that to the media. None of the rest of them said a word. I mean, I know that it must make you feel disconcerting.
Well, I think it's despicable.
My God.
Well, it is, because we have children here, you know, and a person, even an animal in the wild, will defend its cubs and its offspring.
Wow, my Lord.
And we got representatives that the community elect, and I'm going to say this, that the community needs to be more politically engaged.
Say that to our people.
I want to say it. The community needs to be more politically engaged, because we got people representing our community that will not defend their own children, my children, your children, and that's totally despicable and should be unacceptable. We need to elect new leadership that will do these things. Like I said, an animal in the wild will protect its offspring.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because I've been saying that for years, and not enough of us are saying that. I think it's personally despicable that we have leaders, even religious leaders and other leaders in the community, business leaders, that don't step up to the plate and say, hey, these are the things that we want for our children. Now, I'm going to, my producer is telling us it's time for us to go, and so I've got one other question I want to ask you. Now, Black History Month is coming up next month, and of course, personally for me, since I'm black, Black History is important year-round, and we're going to have a show about that. Actually, we have a Black History essay that the NAACP, a Black History essay contest that the NAACP is sponsoring, and it's our 2nd annual, and our Vice President, Ms. Ruby Johnson, is coordinating that, and I'm going to have her on, and I'm going to probably have you back to discuss the importance of Black history, because I think a lot of people think that Black history is about some facts, figures, and dates and people in a book, but it's far more complicated than that. It's actually part of our need and ability to investigate our past, so we can understand why we're where we are today, so we can begin to talk about what we need to do about it. But when you were on the West Memphis City Council years ago, and I followed some of this in the paper myself, and you were trying to get the city of West Memphis to recognize a Black history. And later on, I saw some of the debates between you and Miss Robinson, and appeared that she was at odds with you about it, or in part. But I noticed that now they say that she is the person that's responsible for bringing Black history to West Memphis in terms of the city council recognizing it officially. I know you have some strong feelings about that, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell our viewing audience, what happened relative to Black history in West Memphis City Council.
Yeah, I believe that was my first year on the council after sworn in. Next month was Black History Month in February.
What year was that?
I believe it was 2001.
2001, okay.
And I wrote a resolution having the city to recognize Black History Month. And in the resolution, I list several prominent blacks that has made a difference in our history. And Lorraine Robinson took issue with that, and particularly one of those names, and she did not support.
What name was it? What name?
It was Elijah Muhammad.
Okay, Elijah Muhammad.
And she basically stated,
founding leader of the Nation of Islam.
And she basically stated that she didn't.
Hold on, just a minute. Hold on. Now, if it's Black history, it's Black history. So we're not picking and choosing people and institutions. Irregardless of how you feel about that person or that organization, that's a part of the history. So it's Black History Month. I mean,
yes.
How did the conversation get reduced to certain people? I mean, because we talk about Black history goes back as far as Black people have existed. We talk about Black American history. We talk about history in Africa and around the world. How did the discussion get reduced to a single person as Elijah Muhammad? Because we can talk about Dr. King, I could talk